This is what we actually kind of talked. We had a long back and forth yesterday in our group chat or whatever. This is why I say that I think I don't agree with the statement that men are best at relationships. This is why I think. So when we're talking about the relationship, the first thing that came out was roles, right? So I think men define a lot of things by based off of the way they think and not really have the ability to kind of what we were talking about having empathy or having social competence where they can be inclusive in the way that they think, right? Everything is black, white. A lot of times with women, we live in the gray because we understand nuances a lot better than men. Um, so I think men know how to um knowing the role and executing the roles are two different things. So I think men know how to talk about what their role is or what a man's role is or what they think a woman's role should be. So they know how to say that, but the execution part is what is different. So 9 times out of 10 when we're here, we say, well, what a man's role? Protect and provide. That's all they say, right? That's it. That is our role. But when you ask them what that protection and provision is very limited in terms of, I make sure my bills are paid. I make sure, my family is safe and they're protected. But for a woman, yes, of course, we need the physical protection if something happens, but it's deeper than that, right? I need you to protect me mentally. I need you to provide for me emotionally. So it's all of those other aspects that men miss in relationship because of just they're more in tune with the physical aspects of a relationship. Let me go to work, let me make this money, the bills are paid. And they think that that's all a woman, they think that they're playing their role and that's all that the woman needs. But it's so much more that the woman needs that is not being protected, that is not being provided for. And on a woman's side, I not to say that, all women are great at relationships, but I think some of the social conditioning that we get early on kind of trains us to a degree that we need to, our role is to make the man happy despite how we feel. So, and y'all say it all the time, keep your feelings out of it. Marriage is a duty. You just do what you're supposed to do. It doesn't matter how you feel. Whereas for a woman, it does matter because that's part of our makeup. So that's why I say I think men, and actually I think Shan, we had saw this where they were saying that they did like it was some kind of study or something where they were saying men typically judge themselves higher higher in terms of their ability and things that they can do versus what they really can, and women tend to judge themselves lower even though they have more ability. So that's when I think of it like that, I can see why a man would say that they're better at relationships because they're only able to think from a male perspective of what a relationship looks like. So
I think John the Baptist want to come explain this. You want to drop the whatchamacallit?
Right.
Right.
Let me see if I put that video on here, which I did not. But there was a video that I did want to post and I did not bring it up for this live, maybe another live. But I agree with what some of the things that I'm mistaken is saying. I think that there are important aspects to a relationship that are missing. So for example, when you cheat, there's something about that leaves the woman vulnerable. Now she doesn't feel protected by you. She doesn't feel like you're loyal. There's so many feelings that leave her out in the the code. Or even we were even talking about this before. When you cheat and you cheat with a crazy chick, now you got your whole family got to go into protection for real, because you know cheated with a crazy chick. You know, so all of these things are taken into consideration when it comes to some of the things that men say they do. It is a manly thing to do, but they don't understand the manly thing to do is going against the relationship, the commitment of the relationship. So yeah, that's all I want to say.
The irony behind that is, first I want to say mistaken. Keep in mind, I said men understand relationships better than women. I didn't say we pull that off. I said we understand it, and I said that on purpose.
Okay,
Now,
my bad.
in regards to what Shan was saying, we have to get to it as men, and this is me speaking as men. We have to get to a place to where we understand that I've never been a fan of the word cheating, but I understand why women use it. So we have to understand why cheating is a lack of protection for the woman. How that does affect the female, and it's not until you actually sit down and truly evaluate all of the relationships you've had as a man to see where the consistency of where you went wrong, because there's somewhere you went wrong over and over and over again until you got it right. And fortunately, but say fortunately for my wife, but she's super dope. Fortunately for me, I was able to get it figured out. And I understand what that full umbrella of protection looks like to a woman. Not from a male's perspective, but to a woman, for her to feel fully protected. And some of us don't get there. Some of us get there sooner. Some of us get there right around the age of 36. I'm just saying. But when we get there and embrace that part of our role and turn off some of those external triggers, like the that spring skirt with the big butt. You gotta be able to see it only and keep moving. Don't act on it. And truthfully, I'm gonna tell y'all that's not easy. It isn't. It is not easy. But if you really love your woman and you really want to provide the ultimate protection, you do have to walk away from it. You have to walk away from those urges. I just want to throw that out there.
So kind of like what we were talking about yesterday, right? When we were talking about emotional intelligence, right? I think so even when you read these comments or being in these spaces, you can literally hear, right? or see the comebacks in terms of when things are said. There are a lot of emotionally immature, or should I say socially immature. I'll say men and women, but I'm gonna say mostly men, because most of the comments I usually see that be like whoa, usually come from the men. I'm not gonna say women don't do it sometimes, but a lot of times when I'm seeing it is when they're responding to something crazy that one of the guys said. That, and then they'll call Marcus a simp, or they'll call what's his name? He got his own pod. I can't remember what's his name.
Trill.
I've heard that. Like he tries to cater to women. Like an emotionally matured man sounds very different than an immature man, that hasn't developed the ability to basically have empathy, to have social competence, like those things, because you're able to articulate your point and stand on your point, but still also understand the other person's side. You're able to see the nuance. You're able to say, you know what, I can understand why you would say that, because you are able to gain perspectives. You're not just stuck in how you feel and how you think, and that's it, right? And I think a lot of times when we're dealing with men don't like dealing with feelings. They don't. Feelings, emotion, all of that is, I don't know, girly to them, or whatever. They associate it with being weak or whatever it is. And when you're in relationship, not just relationship with a woman, but relationships that you build at work, relationships that you'll build at church, any type of friendships, all of those relationships, you have to have some level of social competence, some empathy, the ability to see other people's perspectives, all of those things in order for any relationship to work. If you only think that the relationship is supposed to benefit you, then you're not in relationship at all. And a lot of times when we're hearing men talk about relationship, especially with the women, they will tell you that your role, your purpose for as a woman is to serve me. That's not going to make a good relationship, because a relationship is interdependent. And when you're just using somebody to fulfill only the things that you want, that relationship is not going to be fulfilling for the other person. And I'm just calling it like I see it in this space. Now, if you don't do it, it doesn't apply to you. But if you go ahead and try to use the Bible and say, well, the Bible say that that's what your woman purpose is, then you need to go ahead and start reading more examples of how God led, how Jesus led. He led through service, acts of kindness, empathy, all of those things that the way y'all talk about being in relationship in your home does not emulate, it does not reflect that kind of behavior.
There's only one Jesus, so please don't stack us up against him. We will fail. It's funny you were going through that. I'm gonna tell you what I pictured when you were doing your mimic of the guys in the space. Y'all, everybody seen Coming to America? When it says bark like a dog, and she goes "Urf, urf, urf," a big dog, "Urf, urf," hop on one leg. It was funny when you were saying that. That's kind of what I was picturing, and I don't think that is what they're saying at all. I'd like to think that that's not what they're saying at all. But I just wanted to say that because it was funny, because that's what I pictured was the lady in the dress hopping on one leg, barking like a big dog.